Welcome students, welcome to my channel Modern Academia. Today I have come here with a poem, The Brook. Basically the poem The Brook is known as a kind of travelogue. In a travelogue, the poet or the writer presents the travel experiences of a particular person or a thing. Here the poet presents the travel experiences of a brook. It doesn't deal with the travel experience of any individual person. And as far as the background is concerned, the journey of a brook is to be compared with the life journey of a common man. In some places in the poem, the poet presents the similarities and dissimilarities between the life journey of a common man and the journey of a brook. So I'll tell you everything, but at first I'll try to give you the complete analysis of the poem and figure of speech which are mentioned in the poem. And apart from that, at the end, I'll try to give you the complete summary of the poem also. So let's begin the poem. I come from haunts of coot and hun. I make a sudden sally and sparkle out among the fern to pick it down a valley. So the poem begins with the word I. Here I is none but the brook itself. In most of the cases, the first person is used to denote the poet or the writer, but here I doesn't or I do not deal with the poet or the writer, rather it deals with the brook. So the brook itself presents its journey, how it gets its origination, how it passes different kinds of landscape, and how it merges with the river. Everything has been described in the poem. So I'll tell you later. So I come from haunts means the brook comes from haunts. Haunts is not a kind of matter or it doesn't deal with the fearful matter. Rather, haunts means a place which is frequently visited. So he gets its origin, rather the brook gets its origin from a place which is frequently visited by coot and hun. Coot and hun are none but two water birds. Here coot is one kind of water bird and hun is most probably heron. The poet intentionally commits mistake to create rhyming scheme in the poem, which is known as poetic license. I'll tell you the poetic devices later. The moment when I'll tell you everything about the poetic devices which are mentioned in the poem. So the brook gets its origin from a place which is frequently visited by coot and hun. So this is the place. That means the place where coot and hun could be found in most of the time. There the brook gets its origin. Now I make a sudden sally and sparkle out among the fern to beat down a valley. So I make a sudden sally means after getting its origination, it starts moving suddenly towards the down and sparkle out among the fern. After getting its direction towards the down, it starts sparkling among the fern. Among the fern means basically if this is supposed to be the river, if this is supposed to be the river, so on the bank of river, the fern, the shrubs, the different kinds of small plants are grown. So how it looks if the shining of if the shining will fall on the river or the rays of the sun will fall on the river, it simply the brook starts shining, and how it looks that the brook starts shining among the fern. To picker down a valley, picker doesn't deal with anything, rather, it talks about the loud noise. So, when it starts moving towards the down or towards the valley, it creates a loud noise. So, now I will give you the complete meaning of the first stanza. The brook, from where it gets its origin from a place which is frequently visited by coot and hun, and it starts moving suddenly towards the down. And when it starts moving towards the town, it starts shining among the fur. It, and it creates loud noise when it passes through the valley. Now come to the second stage. By 30 hills I hurry down or slip between the ridges, by 20 tops a little town and a half hundred bridges. These are the lands, these are the places what the brook passes when it moves towards its destination. At first it passes the 30 hills. It hurries down. Hurries down means why it hurries down? The moment when a brook passes a hilly region, we know it as because it is quite high. So, particularly in the hill region, the brook never flows in a very sloth manner. Rather, it moves very hurriedly. So, very hurriedly or very quickly, it passes the 30 hills. Apart from that, it may slip down from the ridges. Ridges. Let me show you what is ridges. Suppose that this is the mountain, and this particular hilltop narrow place, this is supposed to be known as the ridges. So not only it passes the 30 hills, but also it may slip down from these ridges. It may slip down from these ridges. Apart from that, it also passes 20 thops. Thops means small villages. So, not only the hills, ridges, but also it passes 20 small villages, a small town, and half hundred bridges. Half hundred means 50 bridges. So, these are the lands what the brook passes when it moves towards its destination. Now, come to the third stanza. Till last by Philip's pump I flow to join the brimming river. So, up to which the brook starts moving by itself, it starts moving by itself. That means till now it doesn't merge with the river. That means till the farm of Philip, that means the land of Philip, it moves towards the brimming river. That means till now it doesn't merge with the brimming river. So that means this is the particular place up to which the brook moves up to the Philip's farm, and after coming to this particular spot, it merges with the brimming river. Brimming river means the river which is filled with water. For men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. Here, these two lines are quite eternal in sound. Men or the human beings are mortal. We know it very well. We have got, we are begotten, we have got our origination, and we have certain lifespan. But after spending of our lifespan, we have to leave the earth, so we are not eternal. We have come on the earth and we have to leave the earth with a change of time after spending the lifespan. On the other hand, the brook is quite dissimilar because it gets its origin, it passes the time, at the same time it doesn't touch the end. That means it is eternal. It doesn't have its end. In this way, the poet presents the dissimilarity between the journey of a brook and the journey of a common man. Now move to the next stage. I chatter over stony ways in little shafts and travels. I bubble into 18 bays. I babble on the pebbles. So chatter means non-stop talking. So I means already I told you that I is none but the brook itself. So the brook creates non-stop talking, or non-stop talking means the brook is not supposed to talk, rather it creates non-stop sound. The brook creates non-stop sound when it hits the stony waves or hits the stones which are there on the path of river, or on the where the river was flowing, the stony paths there, and if the brook's water hits the stone, it creates the loud noise or non-stop noise. in little shafts and travels. So after hitting the stone, its direction is totally changed. Let me show you how changing of direction. So as we know, the brook never moves in a straight manner, rather it moves in a zigzag manner. So suppose that if the brook water hits the stone, suppose that there is the stony paths, okay, and if the brook water hits the stone, simply the brook changes its direction and sharp direction is created from here, and the moment when it creates another direction, the moment when it creates or it changes its direction, it creates traveling sound. Travel sound means sharp tune. The kind of sharp tune is created the moment when the brook water hits with the stone. I bubble into aiding base, and later on, when the brook starts moving in a spiral manner. Spiral manner means in this way we know it very well. If the water moves in a spiral manner, the bubble is created. So here bubble usually creates when the water moves in a spiral manner. I babble on the pebbles. Babble is also kind of sound, small kind of sound, jolly kind of sound, which is created when the brook water hits with the pebbles. Pebbles is supposed to be known as the small kind of stone. If it hits with the stone, what kind of sound is created? If it hits with the pebbles, what kind of sound is created? These are quite dissimilar in the matter of sound. So when it hits with the stone, it creates sharp noise. When it hits with the pebble, it creates babble. That means very jolly kind of sound, very soft kind of sound it creates. Now, move to the next stanza. With many a curve my banks I fret, by many a field and fallow, and many a fairy foreland set with willow weed and mull. Now, in this stanza, the poet presents the expansion of bank, that means brook bank, how a brook expands its width. Suppose that, I'll show you, then it will be quite easy for you to understand. Suppose that the brook moves in a zigzag manner, and the moment when it gets a curve, so here is the curve, it gets a curve, the simply the brook water hits the land where the curve is there. So when the brook water hits the land, simply the erosion of this land will be done, and easily the expansion also will be done. Expansion of the brook's width will be done. The moment when it passes through different fields and fallow. Fallow means the land which is left for cultivation. The cultivation is not done, but after 2 or 3 years the cultivation will be done, and the land is left for regaining of fertility. So the brook passes all these lands. The moment when it passes the field and the fallow, it gets a curve, and the moment when it gets curve, it expands its width. Not only that, it also passes fairy foreland. Fairy foreland means the land which is expands or extends up to the sea. So not only the field and fallow, but also it passes the fairy foreland set with willow and weed. So how it moves? Brook doesn't only moves with water only, rather it also carries willow weed and shrubs and small kind of plants. It carries the stones, pebbles, flowers, all these things while it moves towards its destination. Now move toward the fifth stage. I cater as I flow to join the brimming river. For men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. So here once again the sound words are used, chatter and cater. So what the poet wants to say? The brook creates the non-stop noise when it flows towards its destination. To join the brimming river. Once again I told you, these 3 lines have been repeated in the poem again and again because these three lines are the crucial lines of the poem. To join the premier river means to join the river which is filled with water. For men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. These are the central ideas. So these are the three lines which presents the central idea of the poem. Because men are not supposed to be eternal, they have their end. They have come on the earth. They must, pass the time as per they have got the lifespan. After passing the lifespan, they have lived the earth. On the other hand, the brook is quite dissimilar in the matter of passing of time or in the matter of existence on the earth, because the man doesn't have eternal existence. On the other hand, the brook has its eternal existence. It gets its origin. It was there, it is there, and it will be there. It doesn't have its end. So last three lines talks about this idea. In the next video, I'll give you the analysis of the rest of the stages. Thank you.